Hello, everyone. Okay. Just get Mac together here. Okay. I'm just going to do it like this. Hi, and welcome to chapter 10. This is the chapter about classification of massage movements, which is basically what you have been learning now for weeks. We're going to, some things are going to be new though, and there's a lot that I do want you to glean from this chapter, and the end of which is the passive and active joint movements, which we're going to begin next week. So I'm going to break this up into a few lectures, after which, as usual, there will be a quick quiz, and then you can move on to the next part. So the first thing that I want to make sure that you guys discern is they're going to talk about the 4 forces that can deform tissue for therapeutic gain. So you can tell by that phrase that deform does not mean anything negative. It really just means change the structure. And then separate from that is the 7 major categories of massage. And then there are things that affect even each of those categories that is something that we haven't talked about enough. And we're going to get into more as we go. And that would be like your intention, direction, speed, length, duration, rhythm, and pressure. All these different things can affect how the results of a stroke, what we're trying to accomplish. So, and then we're going to keep practicing all these things, and then we'll get into the movements. So, soft tissue deformation, the changes in your soft tissues, which is your muscles, ligaments, and IT band, tendons. The internal forces that can cause it to get out of place in the first place would be just muscle tension, effects of gravity over time, or poor body mechanics is often the case, whether it's how they sit, stand, or work. And yes, injuries can actually deform your tissues as well. The external forces, they're talking about what we can do therapeutically to affect them. So here's your 4 external forces, because it sounds almost the same as the 7 categories. That's why I don't want it to be confusing. Compressive, which it is like compression, the massage technique. Tensile, they're talking about anything that stretches the tissues. So, like your deep gliding is a tensile force. Twisting or torsion, shearing is moving one structure across another. So that's more like friction. So they're classifying those 4 forces. Now you know that. Separate, moving on, the 7 common massage methods, because there's a little bit of overlap here. And I think that this was a confusing way to lay it out in a sense. But so we're going to just talk generally about what each one of these movements means. And then I'll go ahead and stop this recording and we'll go on to the quiz and we'll keep going. Static methods. So hand positions held fixed for any duration. So basically it's when you're not moving. And these can be just stationary touch where you're just like calming someone, touching very calmly, which is sort of how we do our hello strokes. Ischemic compression, that is, remember, it's like hyperemia was extra blood. Ischemia is taking the blood out. So ischemic compression is getting that pressure point, pressing on it until so it squeezes all the blood out of there. And that's what we're doing on different trigger points. Here's that one famous one for headaches. And then holding methods in position to release, like the muscle energy techniques, which we haven't talked about it too much, but some of the stretches, maybe. I don't know. Work on that one. Gliding methods, effleurage, deep gliding, feather strokes. You can use your light, moderate, or deep pressure. It can be the way you spread your oil, the way you introduce your touch. It can be how you palpate, figure out the quality of the tissues. Then there's torsion. That's your twisting. So when we're kneading, petrissage, that's going to be torsion, the skin rolling. The fulling, which is spreading the skin open, which we like to do on the hands or up and down the arms and sometimes legs. The wringing, it's the more of the kneading stuff, are your torsion methods. Petrissage, shearing. So this is friction. Shearing, just imagine, because you're shearing, like tearing, cutting, ripping, because you're really pushing that one tissue against the other. So you've got your circular, cross fiber, linear friction. Those are examples of that. Oscillating. So that's going to be vibration techniques, which is just what it sounds like. You really try to vibrate the muscle and to loosen it up. And you can also use tools for that. The shaking, when you grab a hold of a joint and shake the whole arm. Rocking is usually like the whole body. And then jostling is grabbing just the muscle that's tight and jiggling it. Talk about that more. Percussive is your rhythmic contact, which is your tapping, slapping, cupping, hacking, and beating. Oh, so pleasant. And then the joint movements. Passive, well, we'll talk about this more. Of course, the passive is when they're just relaxed and you do the work, whether you're moving or stretching. Active is when you have them resist. And range of motion is when you are checking how far they can go and seeing if you can encourage the range of motion of any particular joint. Okay. Replay that if you need to, or you can just go ahead and read that part of the book at this juncture. You will have some workbook pages to do with chapter 10 as well. But now take that first quiz and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.